This decision by Japan to buy up to 400 US-made Tomahawk missiles, is this a sign of what maybe what could be a future trend in the way that Japan's self-defense forces are postured?
The purchase of the 400 Tomahawk missiles from the United States, I think it does two things. First, it shows that there's definitely a change in sentiment within Tokyo. As their new national security strategy from a year ago said, the region is probably the most worrisome it's been since World War II. And so, it's no longer just we used to call this the sort of the sword and shield, where it shows that Tokyo has really changed some of the sentiment in that it wants own capabilities that it could combine into its own forces. The second thing is it also shows sort of expedited sentiment in these concerns for these. The purchasing of the Tomahawks is really more of a filler in the meantime before Japan can start producing its own indigenous weapons, its own missile capabilities to a capacity that can meet its demands.
Now, this push to purchase these types of weapons, is this more of a United States kind of led push for Japan to acquire this sort of capability, or is this more of a sentiment within Japan to maybe adjust to the current security environment?
It's absolutely coming from Tokyo. Washington welcomes it. Washington welcomes when any country, especially those it's allied with, takes more of an initiative to boost up their own defense. But this is very much a Tokyo decision. The belligerence that we've seen out of Beijing for the last several years has really caught the eye of Tokyo. It's not just PLA planes and vessels flying around Taiwan. It's flying around and sailing around the islands of Japan as well, and so they're very worried about those developments. Um, the sentiment in Japan is, as everyone should know, is a pacifist nation which renounces any act of war. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have self-defense capabilities. That's why its self-defense forces are called that. But it does go to show that the sentiment around this is that Japan isn't going to necessarily strike first, but that it will have the counter capabilities it needs if it were to come under attack by the PLA or North Korea or some other party in the region that threatens Japan.
This isn't the first purchase of Tomahawk missiles by a country in Asia. Australia last year was also looking to acquire the same sort of weapons. But this trend of maybe a more offensive capabilities, is this going to be something that we're going to be seeing in the Indo-Pacific region?
I think it's one element. The other thing that the Japanese released, their national security strategy, is their national defense strategy and build-up plan. And missiles is a big part of that. Missile defense is a big part of that. But other areas as well, such as new fighter program development or autonomous weaponry, it's very much leaning into the new asymmetric capability sides that a country with like Japan, where they have diminishing population, and which means diminishing force size, have to ultimately rely on. And so missiles is always an important part of that, but it's not the only one.